And as we progress in our conversation this morning, we touch yet again on the Southeast. Of course, we cannot exhaust the subject matter of security in that region of the country. This particularly comes with great concern following the arrest of a politician and agitator of the Biafra nation, Mr. Simon Ekpa, in Finland, which was celebrated. But regardless of that event, this Monday sit-at-home order in Nigeria Southeast continues. So we're going to have this conversation this morning with a view to understanding the unknown gunman phenomenon and, the implications of Mr. Simon Ekpa's arrest and the other related issues. Joining us this morning to have this conversation, we have Mr. Barrister Fred Ndigbo, who joins us here in our Lagos studio. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
What we also have, just before we start off the conversation, we also have joining us virtually from the Southeast this morning, Mr. Chiedozie Ogbonnaya. He is the Publicity Secretary of Ohaneze Ndigbo worldwide. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Ogbonnaya.
Thank you.
I will come to you shortly, but let's start in our Lagos studio here. Mr. Ndigbo, you are a lawyer of Southeast extraction. So I'm going to start with that related mix. What are your thoughts on what exactly is transpiring in the Southeast? And I ask this because it continues to be, of big concern. If we know that the leader of IPOB himself is being tried, IPOB has distanced itself time and again from the continuing unrest in the Southeast, and yet there is seemingly no resolution, and Mr. Ekpa has been also arrested, yet the sit-at-home order continues. So what are your deductions from what exactly is going on?
Everything in life has cause and effect. What is going on in the Southeast, especially the insecurity in the Southeast, has causes and effects. The major cause of this security in the Southeast, which of course you can say had a foundational origin, the histrionics of such insecurity is anchored around the personality of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. And security experts have advised countless times that government should release that young man so that we will now separate the wheat from the chaff. We now know the true agitators and deal with them differently from the raw criminals who are capitalizing on the incarceration to visit untold mayhem to the people of the Southeast. Several times, the courts of competent jurisdiction in Nigeria have given orders and judgments that he should be released. Several times, several courts have also even went to the extent of saying that he should be compensated for the extraordinary illegal rendition, which can be called a state capture or state kidnap of Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya back to Nigeria, for what can be called illegal trial, because you cannot stand anything on nothing and expect it to stand. The trial that is going on today, by all intents and purposes, can be said to be illegal. Because in the first instance, Nnamdi Kanu did not jump bail. We cannot go back to all that happened around 2017 when soldiers went to his place under President Muhammad Buhari. Today, experts have said, release him so that let's know who are real agitators. Today, you don't know who are the real agitators. And the government has not done the one that they are in firm control over, and they are dreaming of bringing Simon Ekpa. Yes, if government can succeed in bringing him for trial, so many people will feel that will bring a succor to the region and bring the requisite peace. But can that be done? Simon Ekpa, as we know today, has denounced his citizenship of Nigeria and is now a Finnish citizen. As we know that Simon Ekpa was even can be referred to as a veteran because he served in the Finnish army. And Europe as a continent cherishes a lot about self-determination and cherishes a lot about respect for human rights. And do you think that Finland will send Simon Ekpa, who is their citizen, to be tried in Nigeria when he is not a citizen here, without very strong and cogent reason, when they know that even their own citizen, Nnamdi Kanu, is being illegally and lawfully detained? And you think they will sacrifice their citizen And that is why the euphoria is short-lived, and euphoria will lead to nowhere. And what is important is that government must be honest and sincere about this security in the Southeast. I keep saying this, that government has not been sincere with the Southeast environment. I keep saying this.
But before we begin to talk about sincerity, can you dissociate some of Mr. Ekpa's comments, some of the content he puts out on social media? Can you dissociate it from what is happening in the Southeast, from the continuing agitation, and perhaps from the unrest in the Southeast?
It is sometimes difficult to draw the line between the truth and the fallacy. Sometimes difficult, because we have not done what we should do. And that is why we keep saying, let us first and foremost do that which is within our control. And then let's see how. Because if, for example, Nnamdi Kanu himself has said that the very moment he is released, that he will even work assiduously for the security of the Southeast. So why don't we give him that benefit and see whether he will be able to do that? He has said so. And he's not pleading for anybody to do him an undue favor. He's asking that the courts, the orders of courts, up to Court of Appeal of Nigeria, Federal Republic of Nigeria, should be respected. About 9 different courts, 4 in Nigeria, 5 from outside the country, including ECOWAS and the rest of international community, have said, release him, let us see. Injury to one is injury to all. If government does not feel that the Southeast, the insecurity in the Southeast is affecting Nigeria, then government is being smart by half. Because whatever is happening to a whole region should naturally reverberate in other regions. Today we are talking about difficulty in economics. We are talking about difficulty in the life standard of living of the people and all that. And you think that every Monday a full region of 5 states will sit at home, they don't do nothing, and at the end of the day, instead of working 5 working days, we now have 4, and you think it is not affecting the country? Naturally, it will affect the country. And meanwhile, this is a region that is known to be very boisterously strong in business endeavors and enterprise. And you think it's not affecting the country? It's affecting the country. And we cannot continue to live in denial. My own position and the position of most discerning Nigerians is that let us do that which is right. It is wrong for government to continue to tell Nnamdi Kanu and expect peace. It is wrong. And expect peace. Whatever it is, we can say yes. We are not in support of the insecurity situation, but we don't also know who is causing that. When experts have said, do this and let's see the effect, and the government is not doing so, you cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different result.
There's merit in the agitation of the people who are agitating for maybe because of marginalization and several other things, whether it's politics and all the elements that we look at. So we cannot take away the merit of the conversation. But I said that to say, we also look at these effects that you're talking about.
Yes.
And I'm going to look at it in 2 ways. From the Simon Ekpa's end,
yes.
I want you to speak as a lawyer. A man stays somewhere outside our country fomenting trouble, and people are killed. That is the line that he has drawn.
Yes.
To what extent can we go to make that man account for it? And then to the one of Nnamdi Kanu, which has been an ongoing conversation for so many years.
Yes.
Is it also safe to try out what we're not sure of what could be an outcome? Because everybody's really thinking of a solution at this point.
First and foremost, on Simon Ekpa's side, you can say, yes, a man sits down in faraway Finland and is causing trouble in faraway Nigeria. What does that tell you? Is anybody expected to even obey him? Those who obey him, why do they obey him? Because he's pushing the narrative that resonates with them. And that's all. Otherwise, the people who are even laying their lives and trying to attack security agencies, in some cases they are killed. And why would they do that? You can very easily liken it to people who selflessly would want to die for their cause. And that is anchored on ideology. And what is that ideology? Ideology of cry against marginalization. And how do we solve it? Has the institution called government critically looked into that ideology and see how do we solve this problem without the stick approach? Do we try the carrot approach? What do we do to assuage these people that are always crying of marginalization? Is it real or imagined? If it is imagined, can they be educated that there is nothing like that? Is it the responsibility of government? And if it is real, can the government do something pragmatic to ensure that such marginalization is at least ebbed up? But the government continue to just ignore the people and they'll be crying wolf when there is insecurity in the land. These are all the questions. And it is a sore point that Mr. Simon Ekpa will speak in Finland and some people down here will obey him. I find it difficult to imagine and understand. What it now means is that the people either have a mind of their own and they're only trying to hide under his speech. Because, I mean, you are here, Jeff. Can anybody tell you the kind of a thing that from somewhere and you begin to lose your mind and begin to act? You can only act if what he says resonates with your own mindset. Okay. So he's only pushing those people based on their mindset to capitalize on that fertile ground of infamy and cause problem in the land. And I believe that if the government was doing exactly what it should do, those people will obviously not obey him.
So let's take it to Mr. Agbonne, who is joining us via Zoom. Mr. Agbonne, I would like to know the position and the immediate reaction, if you will, if that has not been communicated, maybe on this platform you help us as well, of Ohaneze and Ndigbo on this arrest of Mr. Simon Ekpa.
Yeah, thank you for this question. And first of all, I want to thank the lawyer there. In fact, most of the things he have been saying was speaking my mind. So I'm very happy about that. So on the day Simon Ekpa was arrested, it was like a relief to everybody in the Southeast. It was more of jubilation galore to most people in the Southeast. Because a long time, the Southeast have been very insecure, unstable, and every Monday sit at home and other things. But I want to correct one impression. People were not obeying sit at home or complying with that sit at home order. People were only afraid of non-state actors. Not that they were complying or obeying, no. The truth was that, or is, that people are always afraid because non-state actors will begin to enforce the sit at home. And we don't have sufficient security agents to protect them. And because of people in being afraid of their lives to stay at home. But it is never been that people comply or obey. I want to let people know about it. A person would like to go about his business, but by the time you come out, the non-state actors will attack and disappear. The security officers are nowhere to be found and things like that. So that is there. So as a matter of fact, Ohaneze for a long time has advised Simon Ekpa to desist from what he's doing or what he was doing. At a point, one of the Ohaneze chieftains, Chief Simon Ekpa, went to the embassy of Finland and addressed them and requested them to cooperate with Igbo and put their thoughts to what happens to Igbo land every Monday and by extension every other time because of activities, pronouncements, and social media war of Simon Ekpa. So you can know how we feel about the day we are told he's been arrested. At least it's a big relief and peace will begin to return to the Southeast.
So, Mr. Agbonne,
so that is that. Secondly, I want... Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, are you saying that Simon Ekpa's activities, comments online, have anything or a lot to do with the insecurity in the Southeast? And relatedly, we hear that you put out a statement that some of his people are threatening to kill you because of reports that you have something to do with threatening to kill him as well. How true is that?
Oh, thank you so much. I've been taking note. At the moment, he threatened the group, him and his people threatened me. But courageous enough, I told them that whatever happened to me, I'm no longer afraid of death because I am sure of what I'm saying. I'm sure of what I'm doing. I'm talking for the interest of the whole Igbo. I told them that I've never seen a freedom fighter that begin to destroy the properties and lives of his people, that faces the barrel of the gun inwards, Instead of fighting the enemy, you begin to fight their own people. How can you be a freedom fighter trying to free your people at the same time you are killing them? I told them I'm opposed to that. And if I lose my life because of that, oh, well and good. So that is true. So as a matter of fact, I, Ohaneze, been opposed to what Simon Ekpa is doing. And like I said earlier, it's a big relief. But there's one thing I want to point out, what my brother said about cause and effect. I want to take that cause and effect beyond Nnamdi Kanu and IPOB. If you notice, you discover that the agitations for freedom of Igbo people or IPOB heightened during the time of Buhari. Heightened because of the way Buhari's approach to governance. By the time he said 97% favor to people that voted him and 5% to those that didn't favor him, vote him, he was really addressing and referring to Ndigbo. So that all the service chiefs they appointed at that time, none was of Igbo extraction, and all those leadership signs from the center appear to the Southeast that they are not wanted, and because of that, most of the time, when this agitation is being raised, it becomes charitable, it becomes attractive. So the place have been fertile enough that people always key into that agitation. So I am looking at what my brother said as cause and effect. It's not just Nnamdi Kanu, because it was really started, Nnamdi Kanu followed. Now with Simon Ekpa, we are. So even if we have released Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpa is arrested, and the marginalization of the people, alienating them from center of power continues, definitely agitation will continue. And people will, one way or the other, key into that kind of philosophy because of the way it stands. So that's why on the Ohaneze side, we've been talking about political solution, non-kinetic approach to some of these things. So political solution, how? If people could go and talk to kidnappers, to talk to Boko Haram, why can't you call the people of IPOB? Call them. Ask them what is the problem. You discuss. They tell you the basis of the agitation. And we begin to have a change of heart. Now, I must admit that the present government that is by Tinubu is far better to the Igbo than the one we had before. The one we had before, Buhari, when he saw that the Easterners were not happy, he said, okay, let them go to whatever. So he was rather happy that we are killing ourselves, we are destroying our economy. He was rather happy. But Tinubu government has done something in the positive direction. I read the statement from the Minister of Foreign Affairs Ministry to indicate that government have been engaging the government of Finland. I was very much happy about that. In this government also, you can see an Igbo appointed minister for work. Things like that are changing. But that is not to say that everything is okay. Because if you look at the Southeast, how many ministers do we have? How many local government areas do we have? How many people in the Senate do we have? How many people in the House of Reps do we have? The evidence of marginalization everywhere. And all this is to make the agitators, because attractive to the agitators. So I think they want to look beyond what is arresting and releasing and things like that, to look at what is happening in Southeast. For a long time, people have been talking about the treatment of the people of the Southeast, and no person appears to care. The leaders from one person to the other.
Dr. Bonia.
Like, so,
pardon me, Dr. Bonia. Right, I want to quickly come in and bring another dimension into this conversation, and I'll go back to Mr. Nzako in our Lagos studio. And I want to ask you about this. So the Finnish government arrested him, terrorism charges and all of that. So this is a major case, right? But what you have then is a lot of people in the diaspora who have been donating monies, their time, their emotions, to his cause, a separatist cause, because for them, they think it's a way to help the Southeast in Nigeria. Some of them doing it innocently, thinking, well, let's help our people at home. So for those who are saying, on the one hand, they may also be culpable if this case goes on as it is, of those terrorism charges. Do you agree? And I'd like you to speak to that bit, really, because there's a legal angle to it. For those who have supported this cause, are they also culpable in that sense?
Well, if you ask of issue of their culpability, you will first begin to ask whether they have the right to self-determination, whether they have the right to agitate for self-determination. And because they are abroad, they are in the diaspora, most of them are in environments where there is a huge respect for human rights and there is respect for self-determination. Of course, they have examples all around the world. Britain decided to exit from EU. Nothing happened. In Catalan Republic, the same thing is happening. And in many other places around the world, people are free to decide their fate. And when they see that, they now tie it to the fact that they feel that the extent and the degree of the huge marginalization faced by the Southeast had over time been unresolved. And it has taken a long time, that over 50 years after the war has not been resolved in a manner of speaking, philosophically, psychologically, and level of integration that the Southeast is expected to have. And there are so many examples. We cannot live in denial of all those examples. And they now feel that the very best way is to keep pushing. That we are in a modern world where you are free by the United Nations Charter to determine your fate and determine your destiny and determine who you are. And there are also self-determination actions by some other groups. The Yoruba group are asking that they should leave Nigeria. The Middle Belt Forum is asking that something must be done. We go to the South-South, the same thing. And in the midst of all these agitations, the people who bear the brunt will continue to support it. It is the duty of government to work towards integration. And such integration cannot come without justice. It cannot come when there is an avalanche of marginalization, which, of course, everybody is now claiming that there's no region that is not marginalized. Can we now sit down and talk as a people? How do we solve all these problems? Or do we just keep pushing the problems to the next generation? It is the failure of the past generation of leaders to solve this problem that is still affecting the current generation of leaders, and it will affect the future generation of leaders if this problem is not solved. And the only way to solve it is to sit down, look at the thing face to face, look at ourselves and face directly in the eye, on the table, and discuss. 1963 Republican Constitution was a product of such discussion. And that is why many people feel that that is the best constitution ever in Nigerian political history. Can we come back, after many years of education and learning, can we come back to talk to ourselves and determine how Nigeria will be, so that all these marginalization cries, whether they are phantom or whether they are real, will be solved once and for all?
So my question is, are they also culpable in this case for donating to that cause, since the Finnish government is charging him with terrorism charges? That's my question.
Culpability is dependent on the laws of Finland. If Finland believes that the agitation for self-determination is not a crime, then anybody who donated to such cause cannot be tried as a criminal. And they are not even trying Simon Ekpa on issue of self-determination agitation, but on issue of international terrorism, which, of course, is a very high-wired one, which they have to prove in court. And Mr. Ekpa himself had even said that he's a content creator. So he has set the pace to divert the trial. As a content creator that is only sympathetic to self-determination, and he does not engage in international terrorism. That would be difficult to
Just
prove.
quickly.
That would be difficult to
prove.
Right,
let me quickly go to Dr. Ogbonia quickly. Still on that same point, but another slant to it. Now, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Odumegwu Ojukwu, had said that this issue is very important to the Tinubu government, right? And she talked at length about it, given some sort of positivity, particularly with the release of Nnamdi Kanu. But still, with the people in diaspora, a lot of them have a desire to contribute to the Southeast, the development and all of that. And some of them, as I said earlier on, donated to the cause of Simon Ekpa. So if you were to speak to these people who want the best for the Southeast in the diaspora, what channel would you maybe advise them to go through in order to support the development of the Southeast? That's for you, Dr. Ogbonia.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I had you. I didn't hear you well, honestly.
Right. My question is for the. Right, but can you hear me now? Is it better now, Dr. Bonia? Yes, I am actually. My question is for you to speak to the people in the diaspora, some of them who have been donating to the cause of Simon Ekpa, because they want the development of the Southeast. So which channel would you advise them to go through now if they want to contribute to the development, to the cause of the Southeast?
Honestly, I didn't hear you. I don't know what. I didn't hear you. There's a problem here, network problem.
It's okay. I totally understand. Perhaps we can take this back to our Lagos studio. Bukola Jeffrey.
All right, Kayode, Mr. Bona, if you can hear me, Kayode was asking how people who have been supporting Simon Ekpa's cause can properly channel their support for the Southeast cause in Nigeria.
Oh, thank you so much. You see, I try to let people know that this agitation for freedom or liberation, not only IPOP, you find it in the Southwest as well. You find it in the Southwest as well. One is diplomatic, the other one is violent. So the request to our people, the youth, and in fact all those people who are donating to support Simon Ekpa and the rest of them, is to change the approach. The approach we are using is not the best for us in Nigeria as it is. That's why in Ohaneze and Ndigbo worldwide, what we have done is to have a collaboration with the Southwest, in what we call Afenifere, with the Middle Belt, and also what we call Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum. So in that discussion, the major conversation how to redeem Nigeria through diplomatic approach in what we call restructuring Nigeria, so it will be good to everybody. But the idea of this IPOP separation, this and that, secession and so on, it's not the best. So we are appealing to Igbo wherever they are to understand the philosophy behind restructuring, to understand the need for us to key into the program of restructuring. That it is a restructuring Nigeria, like what my friend the barrister said, a conversation of what we call true federalism, something that will be discussed that will go very close to 1963 Constitution, so that by the time every person will have their own self-government, power devolved to the lowest unit as much as possible, and the people will have opportunity to come out with the best they have and contribute to the center. It is a better arrangement for this country. In fact, that's what federalism is practiced all over Nigeria. So we are appealing to Igbo all over the world that have sympathy for this secession and the station to change the approach. They're changing the approach and supporting the philosophy for restructuring and the idea Ohaneze had. It is a better way than all this going about it through, if you don't do it, you do that and that. It's not the best. So that is the way we look at it.
And that would be a fine place to leave it and wonder how this will, shape the conversation in the coming days. And we want to thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time on the program. We've been talking with Mr. Chiedozie Ubunaya, Publicity Secretary, Ohaneze Ndigbo Worldwide, and Mr. Barrister Fred Nziako, who is a legal practitioner who joined us in our Lagos studio here. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now it's time to switch gears and be serenaded with a very sonorous voice. Stay with us, we'll be right back.